2007, my wife and I were in Hawaii. We were being toured by our host, the Pastor Dave Madrid, after speaking in their Filipino convocation. As we were going through the island, I got a call on my cell phone, and she said, Pastor Dan, this is Christina. You're one of the first few people I have called to inform you about something. I said, sir, she said, sir, I have been diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, or commonly called Lou Gehrig's disease. That was the first time I heard about the disease. And so I said, what's that, Christina? Well, this is a tragic illness because my motor skills will begin to deteriorate until it's all gone. But my sensory skills will still be there. And so I will feel hunger and thirst and pain and cold and hot. And yet the time will come when I will not be able to move any part of my body, maybe except my eyes. I said, Christina, are you sure they're right in their diagnosis? She said, yes. Before I called my parents and you, my husband and I went to Germany to get a second opinion from experts there. And they came up with the same diagnosis. Well, Christina, what's going to take place? Well, sir, the prognosis is about a year. I will be in a wheelchair or bedridden. And if I can at least move my eyes, I'll be able to communicate with the computer. Or if I can sit down and use my nose, I can move around using my nose to direct the wheelchair, motorized wheelchair. She never asked me to pray for her. She was just informing me. She said, Pastor Dan, I consider you to be my personal pastor since I was your student, and I'm just letting you know. I said, Christina, I'll be praying for you. When we came back to California, my wife and I visited her. There was her husband. There were their 2 cats, no kids. There were some other members of her church who came along with us, and we talked. And she began to reminisce the time when she attended my classes and that she was so happy to tell her husband that I never checked uniforms. There was even one time when she came to class in shorts, and everybody was looking at her except me. I avoided it. You like that, don't you? What time is it now? Should we finish this afternoon, this story?
Yeah.
Should we finish it? Are you sure?
Yes.
I'm teasing you. Visited her. We prayed for her. Over the months that passed, every week I wanted to go and visit her. For some reason, I could not. In some cases, I deliberately did not. Because every time I talked to some of her friends, they would tell me how deteriorated she has been. It was very progressive. And after a few months, they told me that she was bedridden. She was only able to communicate with the computer that she looked at letters in the computer. It was a specially made computer. She looked at the letters, pointed at them with her eyesight, and is able to form sentences. And the computer would say audibly what she wrote down. You don't even read from the computer. And when I found out that she was not in that situation, and they told me that even then when they visited her, she had a lot of sense of humor. She would make them laugh through her computer. I said, that's Christina. But then I would try to go and visit, and I would hinder myself. I could not think of what I would say. Now, I'm a pastor, and I'm supposed to visit anybody. But this one, I made excuses. One time I said, well, she's not a member of my church anyway. Why should I go? But deep within me, I had the fear of not knowing what to do and what to say when I saw her that way. I always wanted to remember her the way she was when she was attending my classes. Or at least when she called me on the phone and we visited her right after we came back to California. The thought of not knowing what to say and what to do and being uncomfortable because people expect a pastor to know exactly what to do when you visit somebody who is in a tragic situation. We don't. You need to pray for us, pastors, too. There are situations when we can't. And here was a situation when I didn't know what to do. 1 year passed. Every week I wanted to visit. I did not visit. And then I got a call. One early morning. Pastor Dan, this is John Espalita. Oh, Christina's husband. Pastor, I'd like to request you to visit Christina. I said, here we go. I know they were expecting me to go and visit. This time now, what would I say? What would I do? He's requesting me to visit. And then he said, Pastor, before you hang up the phone, let me tell you something. I want you to visit him because Christina requested me to tell you. Because Christina has decided that she is not going to live this way. She's going to end her journey. She's going to request the hospital to remove her from life support. And then, Pastor, she requested you. She requested me to tell you that she wants you to do her funeral service. I gathered all of my courage. I asked my associate pastor to come with me to go and visit. For 1 year, I wanted to visit her. I could not. This time, I'm being requested to visit. I was now expecting words like, Pastor, where were you when we needed you? Those words I anticipated would take place. But I was requested, so I had to go. We did. And let me admit to you, brothers and sisters, as we were driving to her house, about 10 minutes drive, I wanted to turn back and just forget all about it. I was thinking of any excuse I can have so I can call John and say, John, I'm sorry something came up. I cannot visit her right now. But no, there was nothing, so we went. And so we entered the house. She was there in the living room in her hospital bed. She was in diapers. She was skin and bones. And when I entered, with all of my hesitation, I went in front of her and I gathered all the strength to say, hi, Christina. And when I said that, her eyes blinked a couple of times. I think it's time for me to stop. Hello? You did that, Pastor Robles. You programmed this to... We still have time this afternoon. Let's finish the story this afternoon, right? Okay. We're almost there. Okay. Thank you. Where are we? Okay. She blinked her eyes twice. And her mother, who was beside her, said, that means she recognizes you. And then I wanted to be alone with Christina. There was something I wanted to say to her that I didn't want anybody to hear. So I said, can you please excuse us? I just want to be alone with Christina. Because I was going to confess my sins, my failures over the past year, when I'm sure she wanted to see me at least, visit her, and I did not. And so I was there. Everybody excused us. We were alone in the room. And I said, Christina, I am really so sorry that I could not visit you over these past months. It was not because I didn't have any time. It wasn't because I did not want to. It was because I could not dare see you like this. I wouldn't know what to say. So please forgive me, Christina. And now you requested me to even do your funeral. Went through the computer and it said, it's okay, Pastor. I understand. You don't have to apologize. Just do this one thing for me. Do my funeral service. In those few words, she had forgiven me of all my failures toward her. I called back the rest of the group. We read a verse, Romans chapter 8. Nothing can separate us from the love of God, even death or life, and so on and so forth. We prayed, and after the prayer, I gave her a kiss on her forehead. And I said, Christina, I will do what you want me to do. The next day, she was brought to the hospital, specialist hospital in Palo Alto, Stanford. She was brought there. And the process of removing her from life support was not easy. It wasn't easy. There were 5 people who were supposed to make sure that she was doing it on her own volition, that nobody was forcing her or coercing her to do it. There was her primary physician, a psychiatrist, somebody from the county sheriff's office, one from the FBI, and 1 hospital personnel from Stanford. They spent 3 hours, I was told, just talking with her through the computer, interviewing her, wanting to be sure that she was doing it because she wanted to. The 3rd day after I visited her, I saw her again in her church, in a casket. And there she was, being prepared for cremation. That was her request. And I preached her funeral sermon to all of her church members, family, friends, and relatives. And I told them everything I just told you today. From the time Christina was my student at AUP, to the time she called me while I was in Hawaii, to the time when I could not visit her, and I confessed to her when she requested, and she forgave me, to the time when the funeral service was done. I miss Christina today. I know I'm going to see her again, because her life story, her journey, is one of the most classical examples of what Yahweh does to each one of us. Even though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, even when we are faced with enemies from all around, we will fear no evil, for He is with us. Christina could even forgive me on her deathbed. That's a good example of Yahweh, the most forgiving one. May God bless us, that Yahweh may take care of all of our needs, even and especially at times when we are afraid of death.